December 5th. I'm Rim.
And I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, having finally rejoined the ranks of regular role players with a new D&D campaign, we talk a bit about our experiences coming back to the old game.
Let's do this.
Hot damn, I actually kind of did some work today.
That's unbelievable.
As in work that wasn't just paperwork or BS or whatever. I set up about $100,000 worth of 48-port switches.
I read a book today, but not the whole book, about half the book. And
What book?
The second Lensman book.
Oh, you're still reading those, I see.
I only read the first one before. Then I, read comics, and now I'm back to reading the second one. So, anyway, tomorrow I might actually do work because someone's coming to the office. Holy crap.
What are they going to be doing there? Are they there for you, or are they just there?
They're just there.
Permanently?
No.
So what are they there for?
It's like the CEO, and, since it's holiday season, he doesn't go into the city or whatever, so he's just going to be coming. He has to make like a conference call, so he's going to come in and use the phone.
Well, you should be dressed really nice and look like...
No, not really, no.
Why not?
Because it's not necessary.
Maybe you should schmooze a little bit.
You realize the last time this guy showed up at the office, he was in his pajamas?
All right, then forget that, but you should still schmooze.
Yeah, I make nice.
Make sure
I don't go, hey, fuckwad, go away.
Make sure the DDR pad isn't visible.
It doesn't matter. No one, people have been there before while it's been sitting out. They don't ask.
They're all like, the fuck is this?
Well, it's like it's leaning up
nerd.
against the wall when I'm not using it, so they don't really notice it.
They probably don't know what it is.
I don't know. Whatever.
I remember when I worked at IBM trying to explain to people what DDR was.
Well, it's funny you should say that because my thing of the day is DDR related.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Well, we'll have to get to that.
Yeah, we will.
But first, we haven't done this in a while, but I'd like to do a geek back. We got some...
Oh, shit.
I mean, we get a lot of email. And to all of you who email us, yes, we read your emails. We don't read them on the show because, I'm sorry, but most of them are uninteresting or just saying something like, hey, you guys are awesome. I'm reading this one for a particular reason that may become apparent in short order.
All right.
Hey guys, I recently downloaded all the episodes of your podcast, Geeknights, and I wanted to tell you that it is awesome! !
You are correct.
You guys are hilarious and take away the boredom of my classes in my high school.
Maybe you shouldn't be listening during class.
I was about to say, good job listening to stuff in class. You probably wouldn't be learning anything there anyway.
Well, I don't know. How well is the punctuation and spelling and grammar of the email?
It's mostly impeccable, other than in the postscript. Which I just noticed. The postscript is in all lowercase, but everything else is pretty good.
Okay, well, don't listen in English class maybe a few times.
Yeah. You see, at least, back when we were in high school, there really weren't MP3 players or portable gaming devices that weren't gigantic.
Well, there was a Discman was the best you could do.
Yeah, but they were still kind of big, and you couldn't be too surreptitious.
A Discman or a Game Boy Color, I think. And that was like senior year of high school, the Game Boy. Oh, a Game Boy Pocket actually you could do that. Was the best you could possibly get.
Yeah, but now I could sit there with a Game Boy Micro and an iPod Nano.
Hell, you could sit there with an iPod Shuffle and some wireless, like, in-ear earbuds, right, with Bluetooth or some shit. Or you could have, like, your cell phone set on vibrate with A2DP Bluetooth stereo earbuds, and goddamn.
Anyway, to continue. So whenever I'm bored, I just pop in earbud. Oh, there we go. Should have said an earbud from my iPod and turn on Geeknights. Keep up the great work, guys. Cheers, bro. By the way, just for the fun of it, can you, spelled with a lowercase u, guys mention my name, Hero, on the upcoming podcast? I don't know about what, but maybe just say, hey, this Hero guy wanted to be mentioned on the podcast, so here you go. I would appreciate it. It would be really cool, ! Thanks, Hero.
All right, now you see why we don't do Geekback so much. But seriously, we like to get lots of emails, and we like to get audios and all those sorts of things. It seems like a lot of other podcasts, even ones that have fewer listeners than we do, get a lot more feedback. That's not really true. What's true is they just read the feedback on the air and thus provoke more feedback, I guess.
I mean, when we did Geekbacks every day, we got probably double the email.
Yeah.
And I'll basically tell you this. Most of the email we get, if you don't ask a question or something, we read it, we appreciate it, but we're not going to respond because what do you say to a declaratory statement?
Yeah, if you send us an email and go, you're awesome. What am I going to... all right, thanks, whatever.
Yeah. And most of the people who ask us questions, we tend to just email them back because it's usually something that really wouldn't be appropriate on the show. I mean, no one cares if we tell some guy what anime they should watch some night.
Yeah, but we like to get more emails, so don't hesitate to communicate with us or send us voicemails or whatever, just because it won't be heard on the show.
Yeah. However, if you want to be heard on the show, your best bet is to send us an audio.
Yep, which we get none of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we got audio feedback a long time ago, but we haven't in a while. And I wonder why, because I've seen that a lot of podcasts don't get so much audio feedback. And I wonder if people are just nervous about doing it or don't know how.
I think it's if we play, it's like we had to get a few and then we have to play them, and then that provokes more people. It's sort of like this, tidal wave kind of thing. So we just need a few that we can play, and then once we play some, everyone else will go, ooh, and start sending in their own.
We'll start asking for things. Like, we'll ask a question some Monday, and then the next Monday, we'll play a relevant geek bag.
We could do that. Wait, this sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
We could start some sort of new segment, right, where we put up like a question or a topic, and you have to send in like a voicemail with a very short response. Relatively, we don't want like 20-minute diatribes here, right? This is not your show. And then we'll play like the good ones.
You can't do 10 diatribes.
We'll play the good ones, and maybe we'll respond. We'll pun them if they're stupid.
Yeah, so I guess I'll ask right now.
Oh, you got a question?
Yeah, I got a question.
I didn't even start to think of one yet.
Why don't you guys send us audio feedback?
All right,
no,
everyone.
I'll simplify it. Whoever sends us, it has to be less than 10 seconds. I'll put a constraint on here.
30 seconds.
All right, 30 seconds. Whoever sends us the funniest bit of audio that you created on your own, it'll be played on the show. We'll give you mad props, and we won't bleep out your damn name.
All right, so for those of you who don't know how the Wii-mote works, it uses Bluetooth. So that means that any and all data that goes between the Wii-mote and the Wii is Bluetooth.
Yeah, now a lot of people think that the sensor bar does something, and we talked about this before, but it's really just a dumb piece of equipment with LEDs in it.
Yep. So all that really matters is the Wii-mote. And, well, a lot of other things besides the Wii use Bluetooth. I mean, it's not like the Wavebird that uses some proprietary wireless protocol, or the DS where it uses Wi-Fi, but it's all encrypted, so you can't do anything about it. This is, hey, there's a potential we can use this with a computer.
So, since we have the
Or
Wii...
even like a Palm Pilot.
Since we have the Wii sitting there right next to our Mac, the first thing we thought about a day after we got the Wii was, these are Bluetooth, right? And we tried to use them with the Mac.
And it showed up. The Mac said, I see a Bluetooth device there.
And Scott went, this is going to be great.
But then when I didn't think I was going to get much further, and I was right. When I actually tried to use it, I was unsuccessful. Even though the Mac recognized it as a Bluetooth device, it didn't know how to handle it at all. But however, people have figured out how it works, mostly. And they've written drivers for Windows and Mac. And you can now use your Wiimotes with your Windows and Macintosh computers, probably Linux computers real soon.
Now, don't think that this is super awesome yet.
It's not super awesome yet because they have learned how to get data from the accelerometers, so they can tell when you tilt your Wiimote in any direction. And they have learned how to get data from the buttons, so you can push the different buttons, except for the power button, of course. And the computer will know when you push the buttons. The computer they have not yet figured out how to get the driver to understand the sensor bar pointing device functionality. So without that, I mean, it's not really a good mouse, which is what you want to use it for, is a mouse for a TV computer.
Yeah. Once they get this working, I'm sure someone will, though frankly, I think it would be an interesting idea if after this Wiimote and nunchuck shortage is over, sometime next year, if Nintendo got some developers and released official drivers for their Wiimotes to be used on computers as generic peripherals.
See, I don't know if it's really necessary, though, for them to do that, because...
Oh, no. It would just generate a lot of good press.
It takes a lot of effort for them to do something like that. And Nintendo hates to do stuff for computers because computers are not a homogeneous platform.
Yeah, well, I see the one reason they might not want to is that if people start pirating Wii games and they can use their remote on the computer,
yeah,
that's the end of that.
If people already have their own homemade drivers to use the Wiimote on a computer, that covers 99% of the market for that sort of thing.
Well, then you know what you do? You make the people who are currently developing these on their own, call them like official and give them the data to do it, but don't pay them anything. And then when they finish it, release it under your name.
Considering it's already gotten so far, it's not really necessary.
Yeah, but I'm sure the people
I'd
developing
rather have them work more on getting out more Wii channels and virtual console games.
Well, you've seen all the rumors and various grumblings on the internet that everything we care about is going to be live by Christmas.
Yeah, supposedly. There was a magazine that had a blurb that was like, OMG, something is coming to the virtual console that's going to change everything. Holy crap.
I can't imagine what that would be.
I don't know.
I got ideas.
Yeah. If you read the actual blurb, you could get a hint that it's probably Earthbound or something like that, but who knows? No. Anyway, I've linked to the page with the Macintosh Darwin remote driver and program for you to use if you have a Mac. And if you have a Windows, you can find it on your own. Eventually, this will hopefully support pointing, and then it will be awesome.
So, Natural Selection, a mod for Half-Life, has got to be one of the most innovative and greatest first-person shooters of the modern era.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's a little old hat now. The technology's old. The mod is old. It doesn't look very shiny compared to anything new coming out.
Doesn't have a lot of players anymore.
Yeah, though the people still playing are very dedicated.
They're awesome.
I mean, in its heyday, it was one of the big greats of gaming. It still, very few games have come to even close, in my eyes, to replicating or even matching the sheer level of fun and amazingness that was Natural Selection.
And Natural Selection is a Half-Life 1 mod that didn't come out until right before Half-Life 2 came out. It was like Half-Life 1 was almost dead, Half-Life 2 was coming soon, and here comes a brand new Half-Life 1 mod that knocks your socks off. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, once it came out and was stable, it exploded in popularity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Natural Selection 2 for the Half-Life 2, Source Engine, has been in the works for a long time.
Yeah, they've had some issues with that. They keep changing what their plans are and, all kinds of stuff. They even made a Sudoku game, and they sold it in order to make money to develop Natural Selection 2. But they are working on it.
Yeah, and the good news is that not only are they still working on it, but they seem to have kept sight of the true vision of what NS is. A lot of times when people make a mod, like Action Quake was a really good thing. And then they tried to make Action Quake like the next version for Quake 3, and it just kind of was crap. Weapons Factory had the same thing. Weapons Factory for Quake 2 was awesome. They tried to make a new version. They got all the right things wrong. No, they got all the wrong things right and the right things wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of makes sense. Natural Selection, the team behind it, Unknown Worlds Entertainment, really seemed to know what made Natural Selection good.
Oh, what's that guy's name? Flera? Isn't that the head guy?
I think so. He's one of them.
He's awesome.
Yeah, but they really, the things they would change and the things they would work on, they knew what the people playing Natural Selection wanted, and more importantly, they knew what they really wanted. Because a lot of times fan communities will ask for things that they think they want, but they don't really. And if the developer listens to them, you get the Tribes 2 situation, where they take one of the best games ever made and run it straight into the fucking ground.
Here's a good example, right? In Tribes 2, people wanted to automatically get in the vehicles and other crap like that, and they wanted what was that other stupid thing?
Oh God,
I forget. They wanted to change some weapon or something, and they did, and it totally ruined the game and changed everything. Meanwhile, in Natural Selection, what are those little guys that you had in the early versions that the creatures?
The babblers.
The babblers. In the early versions of Natural Selection, one of the alien abilities was these babblers, and they were hilarious.
Yes, they were one of my favorite things in NS. Basically, you could spawn little tiny aliens that were kind of like skulks that would run off and attack Marines, but they weren't that bright, and they were kind of buggy. And there were situations where you'd send off a babbler, it would get stuck in you and then kill you.
Yeah.
Or it would attack your own hive until it killed it.
Yep. And they took the babblers out of the game, and everyone said, "Oh man, bring back the babblers! I want babblers!" And people today probably still talk about the babblers that used to be in Natural Selection. But even though a lot of people say they want them back, these guys know that they really don't make a good game, and they've kept them out.
Yep. Now, recently they've opened their kimono in their own words to release one of the cool things they're working on as part of Natural Selection 2. They call it Dynamic Infestation. Now, in Natural Selection, areas of the map that were near hive locations or areas where the aliens tended to start or be powerful through much of a game had a very alien-esque vibe to them. There was organic shit growing all over the walls and weird sounds and weird plants and like throbbing, pulsing, Geiger-looking kind of things all over the place. And that kind of tapered off as you got to the more civilized areas where the Marines would start. Now, this was entirely static. No matter who was winning, no matter what was going on, nothing changed. Other than, a hive appearing or a gorge building an offense tower somewhere. In Natural Selection 2, they've come up with a method of having this infestation kind of grow organically and naturally, procedurally, in real time while the game is progressing, based on how well the aliens are doing, how widespread they are, what areas they occupy, and possibly what buildings they have built.
Wow, so if the Marines take over the whole map and the game's over, there isn't going to be any yellow alien gunk around, most likely.
Yeah.
And if the aliens, start encroaching on, a new area of the map, yellow shit will start growing everywhere and go blurbity, 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 blurbity.
Now, they haven't figured out, they figured out how to do it, and if you read the article, it's really kind of cool. They talk a lot about it. But they haven't figured out exactly how to use it yet, because one, it adds a lot of nice ambience to the game, and I think it'd be really cool on its own. But I could also see this having significant gameplay factors. They haven't said anything, but I imagine maybe skulks or lurks are a little camouflaged in alien-infested areas, or maybe the more infested an area is, the more resistant aliens are to damage.
Well, they did say one gameplay factor was that, let's say you have a room with some computers in it or something, right? And the infestation takes over that room. Then, the computers will get all infested and stop working, and, the lights will go out in that room. And then if the Marines come and clean it up, then, the computers will start working again, and the lights will turn back on and shit like that.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless, and I am all about this. And one astute person on Dig made a quote, I'll paraphrase, "If dynamic infestation can somehow be fought with flamethrowers, I think I'm going to wet myself."
That sounds good to me.
I want to see a flamethrower in that game.
That's the thing. NS doesn't really have a flamethrower, yet the flamethrower is a key weapon in Aliens, Alien 3, etc., etc., etc.
Well, I could see them using it. A flamethrower would probably be good against infestation and gorges and structures and be absolutely useless against anything else.
Yeah, I don't think...
oh, no,
I don't think a fade is going to be phased by flames.
You can't kill 10 fade. You can't dynamically infest 10 space stations. Oh, man, I'm having Natural Selection flashbacks, because Scott and I would always play in the same room next to each other. Sometimes on the same team, sometimes not. It didn't matter, because we never really cheated or anything. But I remember there would be times where I'd be walking around with my little machine gun, and Scott would be walking around somewhere else, and suddenly he yells, "Fade! Fuck!" And then he dies. And then I go, "Uh-oh," and then I die.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Things of the day.
Oh, shit.
You can't have 10 things of the day.
We've had 200, 400 something things of the day.
Hence, we can't have 10.
All right, then.
More than 10 is just as not 10 as less than 10 is.
I suppose that's technically correct.
Anyway, my thing of the day. Now, when I was a kid and would play video games, I would often be fascinated by glitches or bonus areas or strange things or busted stuff in video games. Like in Castlevania one time, Castlevania 2, my favorite Castlevania game, with the possible exception of Castlevania DS. I was wandering around and I ended up glitching the game somehow.
Castlevania DS2 comes out this week.
I'm well aware.
All right.
So much for my money situation and my free time situation. But anyway, and I discovered an area that I shouldn't have been able to get to near the top of one of the manors. And in this area, there was nothing but dead bodies hanging from the ceiling and a really creepy lake that you really couldn't get past.
If it's on top of a manor, how can a dead body hang from the ceiling if it's a sky?
Well, no, the top level of the manor.
Oh, okay.
In a place that you shouldn't have been able to get to.
All right.
And it went on forever. And there were all sorts of things where you could holy water in the wrong place and fall into a spot you shouldn't have gotten to, or there's creepy shit down there. I mean, a lot of games have this stuff. And when I was a kid, it used to be kind of this mystical thing.
Well, they don't seem to have it anymore.
Yeah, now games have things like Princess Peach's mysterious third eye.
Yeah, it pretty much stopped with the SNES. I mean, the SNES really didn't have any glitchy action like that. On the GameCube, there was a little bit of glitchy I mean, not the GameCube, the N64. There was a little bit of glitchy action going on in some games, but nowadays, no, it just doesn't really happen anymore.
Well, if you ever wondered why the glitches in old NES games are often so much more interesting or strange or inexplicable than the glitches you get now, which generally seem to be resigned to deleting your save data or preventing you from beating the game. Back in the day, games were designed very differently for a number of reasons. And my thing of the day is a cool little bit written by Snowbro explaining exactly how Metroid worked, how the level data was saved, how it was accessed, and why all the different kinds of glitches you could run into and strange areas you could gain access to existed.
It's actually really interesting because it shows you, nowadays, if you want to program something, your computer is so powerful that you just write an object-oriented program and you don't have to really think about a lot of things that used to cause programmers trouble. But back in the day, you had very few resources. You had to do all sorts of tricks and think really hard about how to get the most out of very little. It's sort of like, oh, I want to make a car. Well, good thing I have this car factory with robots in it. But back in the day, it was, oh, I want to make a car. Oh, great, I've got 10 popsicle sticks. And somehow you managed to make a car. This is a good thing to show you just how kind of thinking that they use to make that happen.
And it's non-technical enough to where you could easily, even if you don't know much about programming or computers, understand where they're going with this and at least grasp the basics. It's a really good read.
So, is a combination, my thing of the day, is sort of like a news, actually, but one thing I hate and one thing I love have combined, and therefore I must inform the world. What do I hate? Fast
Ninjas.
food. Well, no.
Yeah.
I don't hate ninja. Well, I'm just a pirate fan. I'm not really anti-ninja.
Yeah.
But I really, really don't like Burger King or any other fast food for that matter. I eat it as not often as possible for many reasons.
Yeah, we were forced at Citicon to eat some Wendy's one night because there was nothing else open anywhere.
Yeah, before that, the time I ate fast food was like months and months and months before that. I ate it in Arby's once, and before then I don't even remember.
See, I frequently eat at White Castle, but I consider that to be a whole different brand of food.
Well, you're crazy. Anyway, Burger King, I don't know if it's right now or real soon, is going to have Dance Dance Revolution toys. Yes, you heard right. If you go to Burger King, you can get DDR toys. Some of them look pretty stupid, but some of them look pretty awesome.
If I were a betting man, I would bet that the primary reason Burger King is doing this is to stave off any question of lawsuits by fat people against them in the future, because they will be able to point back at things like this and say, look, we promoted health at every opportunity. It's not our fault you didn't read the menu with all the caloric information that we put on the wall. It's not our fault you ate 1,000 French fries. We told people to play DDR. If they don't, well...
It could be something like that. I mean, if you go to the website, for the official website of DDR Burger King, one of the links is fitness. And, they tell you, hey, DDR helps you stay fit. Play it. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Drink water before, during, and after playing DDR. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But one of the toys, I think the best toy is is Baldo, or whatever you want to call him. The Afro guy. And you can, push buttons to make him dance a little bit.
Maybe you might have to go to Burger King just to get one of these.
Yeah, the only other toy that seems to be worth getting is not really a toy, but a CD full of DDR screensavers, wallpapers, and stickers and such.
Stickers, you say?
Yeah, stickers of arrows.
Huh.
Yeah, pretty cool. I might actually go to a Burger King, walk in, and just say I want the toy.
So this past weekend, we did something that we haven't done in a long time. We played Dungeons and Dragons. See, we used to play it on a very regular basis in college. And before then, at least I used to play it on an even more regular basis in high school. And even before then in middle school.
I didn't play it that early, but I've been playing it.
Yeah. And we hadn't, ever since we moved out of RIT, I mean, pretty much when I graduated and left, I really missed D&D a lot. And I missed it pretty much nonstop until Due to sheer force of will, we have convinced most of our friends for one reason or another to move into our general vicinity. And now we can get together on a regular basis and play Dungeons & Dragons again.
Yeah, D&D is one of those things where you really want to do it. And when you actually do it, it's kind of special just because it takes preparation. Like, if you have 4 people together, you can just whip out a board game and play. But if you have 4 people and you want to play D&D, well, you have to have characters prepared. The DM has to prepare. It's like this it's a whole lot of trouble to do, but it's like this huge reward. So you don't do it often. And when you do, it's awesome.
Except in college when you play constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but pretty much being in the real world with jobs and such, and especially early on when our friends were still in college or moved all over the place and didn't live near us right away, it was hard to play. So now, I mean, everyone lives close enough to hang out on weekends, and like Alex actually lives right here, like right down the street a bit. But playing D&D now serves 2 purposes. Before, we played D&D just as a thing to do. We all lived in the same place. We just would go over to mine and Scott's apartment to play D&D every weekend. Now we play D&D, and it's also, in addition to playing D&D, it's a gathering of friends and a party all rolled into one. It's like triple threat.
Yeah, it's like if you're going to do this big old D&D game, well, everyone's going to come over and give it everything they've got. You know, you can't let it go to waste, or else what's the point?
Yep. I mean, I think our eventual plan will be most people will show up Friday night and we'll start partying and hanging out. Saturday, all day, we'll play D&D. And then Sunday, we'll muck about for the rest of the day.
All right.
Though I got to say, it was really interesting to be playing D&D again. I mean, after having not played it for so long, a few people expressed that they wondered if they were out of touch or if they remembered how it went or if they would still enjoy it. And I think the overwhelming consensus was that, yes, it is equally awesome to all the D&D we've ever played before, if not better.
Yeah, the thing is I didn't really prepare as much as everyone else did.
We noticed.
Yeah.
Scott made a con man, partly because I told him to make a con man. He didn't have anything better to do.
It was a good idea.
It was a good idea.
Yeah.
But then, right away, he tries to con some people, and the con starts out pretty good. And then he totally bollocks it up and almost got executed.
You know, I think that one of the problems,
Twice.
one of the fundamental problems of Dungeons and Dragons, and any RPG in which you have very powerful characters or anything like that, you know, is your character knows more than you usually, is stronger than you, has more powers than you, and some of that you can handle, and some of it you can't. Usually the knowing.
See, now, that's easily mitigated, because what you do in that situation, especially if you have a profession or craft or knowledge skill related, or if you have a reason to say, my character would know this, I just don't. Like, say you know your character would know the name of the capital city of the nation you're in, but you don't personally know it because you didn't bother reading the wiki or the manual before you started playing. It's perfectly within the realm to just ask the DM, what's the name of the blah? I should know this. Or with a knowledge skill, it's, well, you make a knowledge roll and you'll find out whether or not you knew that or not. And if you knew it, then you get all the information out of character and you can use it as you wish in character.
Yep. However, it does disrupt the game a little bit when you're like me and you didn't read any of it and you're just constantly asking and confirming the DM like every 2 seconds. It's much better if you study it and actually know it and then can roleplay it much better.
Yeah, well, that's my philosophy has always been to learn the entirety of whatever campaign setting I'm working in, at least insofar as my character would know, and to pointedly not read about things I don't know about or wouldn't know about to make it easier to roleplay. I mean, I played most of the D&D I've ever played in the Forgotten Realms setting, just because everyone knew it well, to the point that people could just name off geography, or they knew who major people were, they understood the gods and the pantheon in the world and the political situation, and the DM and the players both did not have to bother with fleshing any of that out because it was already there. We didn't have to focus on learning, what this nation is like or what these things are like. We just played our characters in the world as though it was a world our characters lived in.
Yeah, but it's kind of scary to see that you know more about this fantasy world than the real world.
Except I don't. I know a lot more about the real world than the fantasy world. Oh, there are people.
There are people.
God damn.
Yeah. It's just like I don't want to be one of those people. So I end up like not knowing anything about fantasy world.
But you don't know anything about the real world either.
I know plenty of stuff.
I got some old examples.
Anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, your con was ludicrous. He basically Shanghaied a
Well,
bunch
see,
of people.
the thing I really messed up was 2 numbers. If I would have changed the number 200 silver to some other number, I mean, if I would have changed the number free to some other number, my con would have worked great.
Well, the problem was when you said 200 silver, and everyone in the room, 11 people, go, "What? What the fuck's wrong with you, Scott?" Out of character. I think it would have been acceptable to say, "Should I have picked a different number?"
Yeah. Hindsight is 2020.
Well, remember,
and all that.
now that because one thing that's really influenced our style of D&D play. Well, 2 things have influenced our style of play now, but the most important thing is that many of us have played Burning Wheel, or at least know about Burning Wheel, and we have integrated many of the concepts and ideas, both of Burning Wheel and of Luke Crane himself and just his opinions on how gaming should be done, into D&D. And it seems very easy in Dungeons & Dragons, one of the things along with this, is to have the in-character conversation and the out-of-character meta-gaming simultaneous in order to make the actual scenario the characters are playing out work. I think it's perfectly okay to step out of character and confirm details as you go so the plot just makes sense.
Yeah.
Because playing it out is one thing, but once the moment is done and you've moved on to something else, people don't think back and remember the metagame stuff. They think back and remember what actually happened in game. And all the meta stuff kind of fades away, and all you're left with is the memory of the story.
I think what I learned in the most recent D&D playing is that to have awesome role-playing... See, at first, I was trying to take the advice of make a guy who screws up. I was trying to, not do well. At one point, I could have tried to do something to get out of a bad situation, but I just said, screw it. Let it go. Let's go down the shitter. And it worked out okay. I guess I'm still alive. But
due to a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, but eventually, not succeeding at anything kind of got me in a rut, and I'm like, okay, this really isn't going well. So then, Alex, I think he learned one thing from Luke Crane. Is at one point he was like, I was just like, and he must have remembered what Luke Crane said, and he said, "What do you want?" And I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, there was a situation where Scott's character and Skojo's and Jess's characters were arguing about something. And Skojo and Jess had a very clear goal. They intended to talk to Scott, this con man, in order to get in on the black market in this area. And Scott was role-playing very well for what he was doing, but you didn't really have a motivation. There was no specific goal. And as a result, the conversation was continuing, and the characters were talking in character, but it wasn't going anywhere, and resolution was nowhere in sight. So Alex implemented all right, state what you're after. What is your goal? Do things to achieve that goal. And if everyone does that, the situation will resolve itself quickly.
Yep. I think what I'm going to do from now on is just whenever I'm playing, first of all, I'm going to prepare some for next time. And second of all, when I'm playing, I'm just going to constantly think, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And whenever I have a turn, whenever it's my turn to act or say something, whatever it is that I want, I'm going to go for 100% and see what happens.
Yep. That's something I really got to try to do better, too, since it's been a while since I've roleplayed, and I'm playing a character that I think is somewhat different from what I usually play.
No kidding. Let's see. Not elf. Not a fop. Not aloof.
Yeah.
Not whimsical.
Yep. Kind of naive.
Not feminine.
In fact, he's the epitome of Roman masculinity.
Yeah.
Except I wrote his history, but I didn't really flesh out his motivation very much, and I still am not sure about his beliefs. We'll talk about beliefs in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've played one session, I think everyone is going to kind of rework their characters subtly in order to make the game more cohesive. I mean, everyone realized, well, this part of my character works and this part doesn't. But if I make this aspect this way, then it'll fit better with this party, and then things will progress better and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I see no problem with... it's our game. We're playing. We could do whatever we want. So who's to say I can't change this and that and the other thing if it makes the game better?
Yeah. I mean,
that's a lot of things people are hesitant to do, is to, do certain things because, it is it's weird because, if you're in Puerto Rico, you play in Puerto Rico, you can't just be like, oh, I'll change this. Everyone agrees it makes the game better. Well, no, you can't really do that because the game has rules and you don't want to go against them. But in D&D, it's not a game of winning and losing, so... or any other RPG, so do whatever the hell you want, as long as, it's not just you saying, my fireball should do 10 d12s of damage, not 46, and everyone else going, no. You know, go for it. Change whatever you want.
Now, we considered using Burning Wheel to play this game. And
I'm
we're
beginning to feel like we could.
Well, here's the thing. Burning Wheel is great, and I really like it, and I want to use it. But not everyone is intimately aware of the details of it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And if we use Burning Wheel for this specific game, we would spend at least... Because remember, we're only playing once a month here in order to ensure that everyone can travel to make every game.
Yep.
We would, at least for the first several months, be bogged down a lot by not everyone knowing all the rules and confusion and all sorts of things that are going to be fun, and we're going to do this with Burning Wheel anyway. But I don't want that to detract from the purity of the actual campaign, because I want to play D&D. I want to roleplay a lot. I don't want anything to get in my way of that right now.
Yep, I think what we should do is like slowly transition from one to the other.
Well, see, the reason I would say we shouldn't is that, too, Burning Wheel, the one thing it doesn't do very well is the D&D style of high magic, super powerful people wandering about creating mischief.
Nope, it doesn't do that, because there's basically no high magic.
It's much more I think it's a better system. It just doesn't suit straight up D&D in a magical world. So I think D&D, especially since everyone knows D&D, and more importantly, because Alex has implemented several reforms, both from internal sources and from Burning Wheel, that I think are making our D&D experience a lot better than it otherwise would be. I think D&D is a good fit for this game.
Yeah, I think so. It's working out okay. I mean, we started off with doing really good stuff, and then everyone sort of faded after a few hours. You know, the steam really kind of died down.
Yeah, part of it was that it was Sunday, and that everyone kind of realized that they needed to tweak their characters a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time playing in a while, and some people weren't... I mean, some people haven't played a lot of D&D in the group, and they're still kind of getting the hang of it.
It's weird, like back in the day, I used to just be able to play D&D nonstop forever as long as I kept getting food. Now it's like, oh, I can't play it that long.
I think we'll be able to once the game gets going. Once everyone really is in character and really knows exactly what their character's about, and once everyone knows everyone else's characters on a first-name basis.
Yeah, that was the problem. It's like, what's his name again? What's that guy's name again? That's
always what happens in a D&D campaign for the first several sessions until everything kind of clicks and everyone gets used to it.
Yeah. There's a lot of players in this game.
Yeah, it's the largest long-term D&D game I've ever been in.
We'll see if everyone sticks with it.
So far, no one seems disinterested, and everyone is very excited about it.
Yeah, that was not my prediction. My prediction is, everyone would show up early on, and then people would kind of fade away. We'll see.
Yeah, but even though people faded away near the end of the session, one of the first things off everyone's lips was, that was great. Let's schedule the next one. I want to do this next time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what we should do before we close, because I don't want to go super long in this episode by any stretch. And actually, we've already gone fairly long, but we can go longer. Dungeons & Dragons, we've complained a lot about how 3rd edition is kind of an annoying system. We have mitigated this significantly, and I think we should go over the things we have implemented in this game that at least seem to be, or hopefully will, make D&D a better role-playing experience.
All right.
I mean, first, Alex implemented Burning Wheel-style beliefs, which is key.
Well, it's not like, your beliefs are actually a game element with rules about them like it is in Burning Wheel, but he just told everyone, write down what your beliefs are, and, we'll take them into consideration for, like, XPs and all that.
Well, no, more so than that. He did the Luke Crane thing. 1, you have beliefs. 2, there is an in-game reward, either for following them, or for changing them, or for going against them in dramatic fashion. 2, there are in-game mechanics to additionally encourage you to follow or break beliefs in dramatic ways, in that Alex will give you magic D6s, kind of like Artha, in rare occasions when you pull off something cool. I think those two things together are really going to make the game a lot more focused. Because like you said, when you didn't have any motivation for the character, it gives us motivation. It reminds us why we're playing. What does my character want? Oh, well, I'm going to try to get that, or that's something stupid. I don't want that anymore. I want something else.
Yeah, it seems like D&D without, like, saying what your character's beliefs are and all that is sort of like everyone's beliefs are, get this show on the road, let's go to where the DM is pointing us, and let's hop on the choo-choo train to beat the bad guy.
Yep, and that's the kind of D&D that I really dislike. I
used to like it.
Oh, yeah. I like it as a one-off. Just, here's the plot, follow it. But I'm much more of in a campaign, I'm much more like the idea of, let's go here, because my character would want to. Blah.
Yeah, the problem I have, though, is when my character wants to do something that is has nothing to do with the other players and would basically take me out of the game.
Yeah, but then again, reform number 2. If a character concludes either by achieving whatever they were after to where it would no longer be useful or relevant or make sense for them to stay in the game, or if they complete as in they die, you can just make a new character with all the experience that the previous one had, introduce them into the plot as a new character and keep going. So you won't be forced to keep playing a character whose motivation is gone, or who has completed what he wanted to do, or had a very good reason to leave.
I actually like that a lot, because then when you look at the game, as, just the story with characters in it and take away the ties to real people out there, it makes a lot more sense. Because a lot of times you play D&D and it's like, all right, every character, every player has to go from the beginning to the end and blah, blah, blah.
Yep, and even Scott Johnson played in a game way back where that same thing happened. His character won, saved everything, rescued the artifact, saved the girl. It was over. He was ready to go home, but the game kept going. So he kept playing the character, but it was just a hollow, unfulfilling experience from that point forward because the character was done. There was nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I remember in high school, one of the games we played, that was very much how we played the first game, and everyone had their character, and it went on, and the game completed. It ended. A character won. A character died. Everything was done. And then we decided, we picked one of the characters, and the player kept playing that character. And none of the other characters would have any reason to stick around because it ended up being a fight between members of the party. Everyone else made new characters, and the game just continued, and we basically decided that the campaign, the world, the story would just follow this one character. And every time, a plot arc ended or a character ended, all the other players would just make a new character or bring back a character who had a reason to be back and play that. And we had a story instead of a hack and slash.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that, and I think Alex's making that an official game mechanic is going to be huge.
That's good because I don't know how long my character is going to last.
Yeah. Plus, I'll
probably have a better idea of a good character once the game is going a long time.
And now, if you have a character who's willing to die for something, you're actually willing to die for that in dramatic fashion because you don't lose anything.
Yeah, in D&D, you usually like, oh shit, I don't want to die. Then I'll have to be raised deaded for 5,000 golds.
Yeah, of course, he also has the nice thing if he kind of got rid of raising dead. Pretty much, it's almost impossible to bring someone back from the dead.
Yeah, well, when you're level 3, yeah, it is.
Yeah, but in general, he said that if characters die, they die.
That's good, too.
I like that. But I like it because we've implemented these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing he's added, we haven't gotten to try it in the large scale, but we tried it in the small scale, was an idea of making combat go quickly by counting down the initiative numbers from the top to the bottom, and when the number of your initiative comes up, you immediately have to act, and you can't really talk to other players out of character or in character during combat. Combat is quick, brutal, decisive, and deadly.
Yeah, I don't think the counting is really necessary in 3rd Ed because your initiative doesn't change from round to round. However, forcing people to hurry up if there is a combat and just do something is much better because many obvious reasons.
Well, I just realized this. Here's why you keep the counting in. One, just as hearing that count go in the background, even when you're not acting, it adds a sense of urgency to the characters who aren't playing, and it keeps you focused. But more importantly, and you can skip the count whenever this isn't happening, but whenever someone, say, delays action or readies an action or anything like that, then you count down, and then the person just chimes in at the number and says, I do my thing.
Yeah, well, if someone says they're going to delay or ready, then you can do that. But if no one's delaying or readying, you might as well just go to the next person.
Yeah, well, Alex actually figured that out on his own when he did the demo, where he'd be 20, 19, 18, and then after the game started going, he realized, and he started going, like he knew when people's numbers were. So he was like 20, 9, 12, 9, 1. -1.
Yeah, because the whole goal is to make the combat take less time and be more exciting and less of a tactical analysis paralysis board game.
Analysis paralysis.
So, counting down more quickly with skipping all the useless numbers just only helps that goal.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we once again, we haven't tried this in the full game yet, but it's actually something that we used religiously when I played D&D in middle school and high school. And I just kind of forgot about it, and combat took forever in college. And once I showed everyone this, it seemed to work really well. Maybe I should mention it to the Dragon's Landing and see if they have any insight into initiative and counting and all that.
I don't know. I got to email them about something else.
Oh?
Yeah.
Nah. I don't think we should go on much longer. All I can say is that we will have multiple episodes on Dungeons & Dragons and role-playing in the coming months as we play D&D again on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.